Okay, I saw 4 babies, and this great big one. And this big one is too big for the mother. Isn't that cute? How interested he is in being videotaped. But I put out 6 or 7 dishes every night, and every morning they're empty. And the plates out there are all empty. So they've gone back into the woods, except this one. Maybe that is the mother. So cute the way she looks in the window. It's about 11 o'clock. Yep, that's it. They've all gone into the woods now. Look at this, folks. It's a blue sky. Blue, blue, blue. Blue. Blue sky. Let's look over here. We can.
I was hit in the eye with his fist.
This videotape taken by an Edwards campaign worker shows Beatty with cuts on his face. One WIN volunteer was cited for disorderly conduct by Prince George's County Community College campus police. News 4 contacted Congressman Albert Wynn's office, and we were told the statement he made to us Thursday night still stands.
My people acted in self-defense, and that's basically the story.
Our campaign has turned over a list of witnesses, including a witness who is an aide for Congressman Steny Hoyer, who placed a 911 call, who can corroborate Mr. Beatty's version of what happened.
George McDermott, the third Democratic candidate in the congressional primary, witnessed the fight.
From my view, the Wynn supporter threw the first punch.
Congressman Wynn says it was self-defense. Your opinion?
I said my eye could have been distracted for a moment, but from every item that I saw, it was an attack. It was not self-defense.
Prince George's County State's Attorney Glenn Ivey says his office is investigating, but he may refer the decision whether to file assault charges to an independent prosecutor.
And after I get a sense of where this might be going, I'll make a decision at that point about whether I should recuse myself in my office. If I know people who are involved, then I think it would be better to let someone who can be neutral and objective take a look at the case.
Chris Gordon, News 4 Today.
Continental Airlines has
And a volunteer in a Maryland congressional race has the battle scars to prove the campaign he's involved in really is. Gary Reels has an update on an unusual political scuffle that has all been caught on tape.
57-year-old campaign volunteer Larry Beatty, seen here in the green shirt and bruised face, says he took issue with Al Wynn workers placing their signs in front of the Donna Edwards signs over at Prince George's Community College.
One of the men approached me and advised me that if I touch another Al Wynn campaign poster, I would not leave the campus. I asked him to repeat it because I want to be clear what he had said. I took offense to being threatened. I moved another sign that had been planted.
According to Beatty, he proceeded to move another Wynn sign and ended up getting punched in the eye and struck in the back of the head.
Then at that time I was hit again and knocked to the ground. I fell in an upright position, and as a consequence I've been diagnosed as having back spasms. When I hit the ground, they began to kick me.
For his part, 7-term incumbent Al Wynn calls Wednesday's brawl a case of self-defense.
We've got witnesses, they've got witnesses. Actually, there were no serious injuries. No one went to the hospital. No one's been held or incarcerated. Everyone was released. So I think my opponent may be blowing this out of proportion to get attention for her campaign.
Wynn's upstart opponent and activist attorney Donna Edwards takes issue with Wynn's characterization.
Congressman Al Wynn needs to get control of his employees. Frankly, I think that he needs to terminate the congressional staff person who assaulted Mr. Beatty. It is unacceptable. This is the United States. This is not Al Wynn's kingdom.
State's Attorney Glenn Ivey tells us it's likely to take his office several days to review all of the evidence in this case and the many witness statements before deciding whether to bring criminal charges, and if so, against whom. At Don Edwards' campaign headquarters, I'm Gary Reels, 9 News.
State's Attorney Glenn Ivey tells 9 News Now he may recuse himself from the case because he knows both candidates in this Democratic contest. Former Maryland basketball
My name is George McDermott. I'm running as a grassroots campaign against the incumbent Alfred Wynn, and I don't believe that. And I do not believe that I could state the subject any better than Donna just did on the Iraq War. It was illegal, it is immoral, it is to benefit the wealthy corporations who have taken over the House and Senate of the United States through lobbying groups to benefit Halliburton and insider corporations that are making a fortune off of this war at the heartbreak and the reputation of the United States. You heard some numbers. How about the 800,000 Iraqis in Afghanistan, civilians who have been killed? How about that? Is that worth the 3,000 that we lost? How about the 2 million displaced people in Lebanon? Is that worth it? When is this nation going to wake up and start being the peacekeeper, not the aggressor, being the nation that people look up to again, as we did in the early years of this nation? We are better than that. And I'm, quite frankly, I'm shocked and appalled that these people put a great effort out here to get the public out. And I will guarantee you, if I ask for a raise of hands, there are probably not 25 people here who are not with another candidate. So this is how apathetic we have become in this nation. We have an election coming up that will change the course of history, and not 25 people will come to see their congressional candidates discuss the relevant issues involving their lives. God bless.
Good evening. My name is Albert Wynn, and I'm the congressman from the 4th Congressional District. Let me begin by thanking Ms. Acey and Peace Action Montgomery for putting this program on, and thank all of you for coming out this evening.
We'll start with Mr. McDermott.
Well, Mr. Bush took on a unilateral war outside of the Constitution of the United States. And our leaders in the House and Senate failed to step in as they're supposed to and required under Title I through Title IV of the U.S. Constitution and stop him from doing that. A president is a president of the United States. He is not a god. He is a servant of the people. And we cannot no longer allow an elected president to come in who has, actually, this was an appointed president, forgive me, appointed president to come in and take over our highest office. Sorry. But we need to take back the House and the Senate this year, and we need to put responsible leadership in it. And I hope you choose me. God bless and have a good day.
Thank you. I'm a
Congress to get out of Iraq.
Yes, we need to get out of Iraq, but we can't get out of Iraq until we have an international force that's willing to step in and take place of our people. Can you imagine your community tomorrow if you took every police officer and every fireman and pulled them out? Anarchy would happen. We've already hurt the country enough. It's time to act responsibly to get people in there and international forces to supplement our forces as we pull them out, even if the U.S. has to pay those international forces for our mistake. But you cannot.
Okay, the next question. Is it the responsibility of the U.S. to rebuild Iraqi infrastructure?
Do we have a responsibility to rebuild Iraq to pre-war status? We don't know. It was never rebuilt from the first pre-war. You know, 80% of the people in the country go without lights and utilities. Could we do it in this nation? Do you think they have a reason to be upset? Do you think they have a reason to be angry at Americans? Yes, we have a duty and an obligation to restore life and civility to that nation. You know, some people might not like it, but that is our duty. We were the aggressors. We took it on without international support, and we, as citizens of the United States, are going to have to pay the bill. God bless. We have a Constitution of the United States. It's well written. It's 50 volumes long. It says we have equal rights under the law and equal protection under the law. When our government goes outside of that Constitution and starts wrongfully imprisoning people in secret prisons, torture chambers, just in order to solicit some kind of a false statement from them, we are the terrorists. This nation, we now live in a nation of judicial activists who are afraid to take on the president and the leadership and return this nation to a rule of law. And that's the whole problem. We have an appointed president because William Rehnquist voted him in against the will of the people. God bless.
Thank you. First of all, I support the Geneva Convention.
We want to hold hearings on it. Totally unacceptable.
Would I support impeaching President Bush? In a heartbeat. I would go in there, the very first thing I would do the very first minute, I would draft it up before I got in office. The thing is most of you in this audience don't realize Bush stole the first election with campaign fraud. He stole the second election with the President's Business Advisory Council, which he raised $200 million illegally and used it to steal votes from the people. Third, did you realize that the new voting machine that we have now, according to the Committee on Science and Technology held 2 weeks ago with the Congress, says that now our new voting machine has an inaccuracy record of 15%. We were down below 1 in 1,000 before. 15% of the vote is most likely not going to be counted. Has the congressman said anything about this? Have any of the people been warned about it?
Yes, I would support a congressional investigation.
Well, let's face it, it's not the United States that's furnishing the armaments. It's the arms dealers and the arms manufacturers in the United States who are supporting, with lobbyists, the Congress and the Senate of the United States. They're the ones who are paying for all these campaign dollars and for the incumbents to make sure that they're allowed to do this. Okay? We have a responsibility as a civilized nation to not overarm a nation who has a neighbor who is underarmed. We just saw we saw a tragedy in Lebanon. We saw 2 million people displaced because 2 soldiers were kidnapped. Nobody stepped in and did the responsible thing, bring all the people to the table. Stop this war. No, it's much easier to destroy a nation and show your power and your might so you can keep the minority suppressed in your neighboring so they can come over and take care of your house in your country. We need better government than this. We need a government that's responsible. We need to go back to the government that our founding fathers wanted. Of the people, by the people, and for the people. We now have a government of corruption for corporations run by the American Bar Association. Okay? Until we get rid of this government and reinstate it, we have a major problem. Our children will not be able to grow up in a lifestyle that we grew up in. They'll have to live in fear. So, yes, I believe that we should restrict the limitation of arms to Middle Eastern countries. Do we have a right? Do we have a right to stop another nation from instituting a nuclear program for, they say, peaceful use for generating electricity? They realize we're running out of oil. What do we have to worry about? We have a president, an appointed president, has his finger on 6,000 nuclear weapons. You're talking about a country that might in the next 3 years develop 4 or 5. The neighbors all around it already have these weapons. We need to rethink our strategy. We need to develop peaceful uses of nuclear technology. And going to war that's the worst thing we could possibly do. As far as terrorists goes, they're a devout religious sect. Look at our country. We've turned away from God. Our courts have outlawed it.
Thank you. That concludes the questions that we have developed, either or both of the panelists. No? Okay.
I'd like to ask Mr. Wynn a question. Congressman Wynn, when you took office as a congressman in the United States, did you stand up in front of God and everybody else and swear to uphold and defend the Constitution?
Yes.
And the rule of law? Yes. And you just stood here and openly admitted that you know that our president lied. And you know that we went to war because our president lied. And you have an obligation under Title I and Title IV of the Constitution to file articles of impeachment. And you've done nothing. You should like to respond.
Well, when I took the oath, I didn't know the president was lying. We found out that the president was lying And the Democratic leadership decided that what we ought to do is focus on the problems that Americans were concerned about, like health insurance, and like the economy, and not focus on impeachment, because what the Republicans learned when they tried impeachment when they were in the minority, that it didn't work, because Republicans are not going to pass articles of impeachment when they're in the majority. So it would have been an exercise that may have pleased you from a rhetorical standpoint, but it would have yielded no results. We've been able to build a consensus in this country that the country's going in the wrong direction, and that's why Democrats are going to take the House back in the fall, because we focused on what really matters and not focused on the impeachment when we couldn't get the votes. Actually, I don't. Thank you.
I would like to thank the panel for all of the wonderful questions, and especially also for adhering to the time constraints. You know, all of you did a wonderful job with that, and we appreciate it a lot. Now we're going to give people in the audience a chance to ask questions, and here is the rule: no speeches. We don't want speeches from you guys. I hate to tell you that, but we don't. So we'd like to have you to ask a very short and simple question, and you can direct it to one of the panelists if you'd like. The others can answer.
In no way am I bashing. If you've listened to it, I am not going directly after Alwyn, other than the last question, and that is a matter of the constitutional right. He is our elected leader. He did admit that our president has lied. You know, that was a relevant question to everybody. The fact is we can only bring our troops home safely after we establish a relief force that can step in and to help stabilize what we leave behind. We can't just pull them out, because if we pull them out, we're going to leave all those weapons there, and we're going to have them right here the next week. So if we don't do a sensible pullout that protects both the Iraqi citizens and ourselves, we're doing a disservice to the world. Yes. Do they hate us? No, I don't think that all of them hate us. There's a large population of them that severely dislikes us. Why? Because they view America as the evil Satan without a God. A nation that was founded as one nation under God. Now our Supreme Court outlaws the mention of his name in our Pledge of Allegiance. You know, that's why they disrespect us. You can't have respect when you don't give respect. And we do not respect anything. We send these garbage movies all around the world, corrupting societies, and we are not promoting the values that our forefathers meant this nation to be formed under. One nation under God.
The next presenter is George McDermott.
Hello, I'm glad to be here today. I want to thank the Peace and Justice Coalition for inviting me. I'm here on a different theme. I'm not your average candidate, and I'm not going to bring you the average message. We will get into the war on Iraq and everything as we go along. Does everybody recognize this? This is the Constitution that the Senate gives out, Senate Office Building. You recognize this document here. This is Article 1 through 4 of the U.S. Constitution. Okay? You're going to hear a lot of rhetoric today. Don't forget, go to the library and check out what the rules are and what is important to you. Are your senators and are your congressmen going to abide by the Constitution of the United States? Are they going to abide by the rules that they're supposed to? If they don't, then don't vote for him. Don't vote for anybody. I am the only candidate here who is running, who has been declared and legally declared a second-class citizen by the court system in Prince George's County. Okay? I am the only candidate here who has fought organized crime openly for 13 years with corrupt judges involved. I am the only candidate here who has asked for the impeachment of 13 judges and 3 senators. I am the only candidate here who has also been declared a legal indigent by the U.S. District Court in Washington, D.C. So my message is our courts are corrupt. They're out of touch with mainstream America. We need to get back to the Constitution. God bless.
Thank you. Thank you. Now that we've heard their campaign themes, we move on to
Seeing why we've become the aggressor in the world, like Donna said, the bully, and what we're going to do about it. Well, it starts right here, folks. It starts with the Constitution of the United States that prohibits certain acts by members of the House, the Representatives, the President, the Senate, our judicial branch. Everything has failed in this country since I can remember the good old days back in the 50s, when I used to have respect for God and country and the flag, where people worked hard and they benefited, and we went over and we fought wars that at that time were honorable wars for helping people, and we can never go back there. We can never go back there because we've allowed dishonor, deceit, and fraud and corruption into our government to such a level that we now have an appointed president declaring a unilateral war on a sovereign nation that resulted in the deaths of 800,000 people. 800,000 people. Because 11 individuals got on airplanes who were not directly associated with any country and committed a terrorist act that our own FBI has said that the government was warned time and time again about these individuals. And they did nothing. And nobody standing up and saying, hold it. You had this information. Have we held one person accountable? Until we have accountability in this nation, and until we restore the rule of law, until we restore justice to our courts, equal justice under the law to our people, we have no credibility in the world market. It's being diminished by the minute and by the hour. So that is the crux of everything. It all gets down to restoring credibility and honesty to our government, and taking these lifelong politicians that are in the House of Representatives or in the Senate and throwing them out this term. Replace them with people you believe will do the right job and protect the nation. God bless. Thank you.
That was the last presentation on the first question. We move on to the second one.
Do we survive in a global economy? The answer to that, and most of you do not want to hear it, is no. The United States cannot survive today in a global economy. We are not the United States that we were 100 years ago, or even 50 years ago, or even 40 years ago. We are a United States of excess, where everybody wants to do things in excess. We have corporate leaders now who are raping the assets of our corporations and transferring them abroad, and at the same time they're doing it, they're increasing their salary to sometimes 10,000 times what the President of the United States of America gets. Now, I don't know about it, but if we do not stop this trend, we will not. If China were to call its debt, they would own this country today. I know people don't want to hear it, but that's the God's honest truth. I was brought up at a time when we came back from the Korean War. The economy was rebuilt because we had the infrastructure to replace everything that we used and to build on it and to build a good nation. We have lost 90% of our industrial capacity has been sent overseas. In the next, according to Cato Institute, I was there a couple months ago on a hearing on the Mideast Basin. Do you realize that there's 90 million 18 to 25-year-olds coming on the market for jobs in that basin in the next 10 years? Do you know what the average rate of pay they get over there? $3 a day. We're talking about increasing our hourly minimum wage to $10 an hour. Add it up, folks, you can't compete. If we don't put restrictions on imports, and if we don't stop this madless, senseless spending and this out-of-control war machine, we cannot survive. We will wind up just like Rome did, just like Greece did, just like India did. We will wind up as a third world nation in the next 20 years. We cannot survive. If you don't like the message, then don't vote for me. The thing is they all realize it. They've studied the economics of the matter. You need progressive change and somebody who will stand up for you. And at the heart of all of this is we have the most corrupt judicial system in the free world. God bless.
Answer.
Hello, once again, George McDermott. Well, first thing we have to do is we have to return to justice and the rule of law. We have to stop the major corporations, their executives, and the American Bar Association, which I consider the largest criminal enterprise in the free world, from destroying this planet. Every time we have an environmental award for the restoration of something that has been destroyed by a major corporation, it gets dragged into the appeals process, and 4 or 5 years later it quietly gets dismissed. And the only people who benefit off of this are the legal community. Everyone else on the planet is a loser. Now, how are we going to cope? We have had the technology for 50 years or 60 years to make carburetors for our automobiles that get 70, 80, 100 miles to the gallon. Every time somebody patents one of these, multinational corporations come in and buy out the patent, silence it up, and erase it. Is that good for the country? Is that good for the world? No, of course not. It's not. Until we act as a civilized society and we as citizens stand up to these corporate giants who are raping every asset that we have, our mineral assets, even our seas have been depleted, and that scares me more than anything. When National Geographic comes on and says, yes, we have depleted our world seas of 90% of the large fish in the last 100 years. Now, if we depleted that many of our large fish in the ocean in 100 years, what will my grandchildren and great-grandchildren be left to eat? Because you can't replace them. They don't grow that fast. We have to start reclaiming wind energy. We have to have tidal power plants where we go out and create tidal surge areas where we can reap the benefits of the tidal surges in the area. We have to have geothermal, and we have to have nuclear fission. If we don't responsibly take on these items and stop listening to the lobbyists of the nation who represent the corporations, who pay for a majority of the re-election campaigns, this nation will not last another 50 years. That's mine. So if you want to know any more about me, my whole life story is on secretjustice.com. There's 70 hours of video up there that will tell you who and what I'm about. God bless.
Thank you. Very for the United States Congress.
How? You asked, how do we stop it? Well, we've got an appointed president who declared a unilateral war on a sovereign nation. They're outlawed by these documents. The Constitution, Title 1 through 4. Okay? What you have to do is you have to have a mass campaign to notify your senators and your congressmen that even in the last candidates forum we had, Al Wynn stood up and specifically said that the President of the United States and his cabinet members, including the Secretary of State, openly lied to them about the WMDs. Nobody has brought up that they violated Title 18 of the United States Criminal Code. Title 18, 1001 and 1002. It's a crime to lie to Congress, and it's a crime for someone else in Congress to conspire to cover it up. We send people to get, our jails are full of people who are being sent to jail for lying about a traffic ticket, for lying about something much less than that, and yet nobody will stand up and say, hold it. You lied to us. Impeach the man. Stand up for your rights or you will lose them all. We now live in a police state that was created by 9/11, and if we do not start standing up for our rights, you cannot expect the courts in this nation to do that for you. And here's another example. United States District Court, case number 106 CV 01097. George McDermott versus the City of Forest Heights. The City of Forest Heights had the gall and the audacity to nullify our 2006 and 2007 elections by an appointed mayor similar to George W. Bush. I called everybody in the Civil Rights Division. Nobody has jurisdiction to enforce violations of the civil rights. How redundant and repugnant is that? So what did I do? I went into the United States District Court and I filed a legal action in forma pauperis as a pauper because of what the courts have done to me. So yes, you all have a duty and an obligation. You all pledged allegiance to the flag of the United States when you went to school. You all have a right to get out there and fight and defend for the rights of this country.
Thank you. You wish to answer the same question?
I agree with you. We do not need another bureaucracy. The laws are on the books. Open up, go to the public library, go to the internet. We have laws on the books. The problem is until the general public of the United States decides to stop fighting for their individuals and start joining together in corporations and in town hall meetings and community associations, and they start petitioning the Congresses to the members of Congress and the Senate that they want the law enforced. They want a president to operate under Title III of the United States Constitution. They want a Congress to operate in the confines of Title II of the United States Code of Laws. They want to stop. And we have to stop these activist judges who are allowing, when citizens bring complaints against these government agencies and agents for violating the trust of the Constitution, we have to stop the activist judges from dismissing them because of some technicality. Technicality should never outweigh justice in our courts. And until we have a complete overhaul of our judicial system that takes and makes the justices of this nation responsible, and it holds them liable when they, because you do know that when a judge dismisses a case illegally and he knows that it's in violation of the Constitution, he's doing two things. Under statute, he's committing treason against the Constitution and fraud against the court. But everybody's scared of it. Well, wake up. If we don't start taking control of our own nation, we'll have no nation in 50 years. Of legal malpractice and misconduct. You would wind up with a scenario similar to what we found of Newt Gingrich. Nobody knew he had 845 complaints against him for ethical misconduct. Would you have voted for him? Of course not. Our judicial system has now gotten so arrogant, from the Supreme Court, the Maryland Court of Appeals, Maryland Court of Special Appeals, and the United States Court of Appeals. They no longer believe that a signature and a sign, when they deny justice to 99% of our people, that they're saying now that they're not courts of record. You don't have to have a record. You don't have to have a transcript of the hearing between the judges. You don't have to have a judicial signature. I went out the other day and I rented a trailer from U-Haul, and it gave me a wonderful idea. I rented a trailer that cost $25 a day. But because of Homeland Security, after I paid my deposit and everything, okay, I have to put a thumbprint on the contract. Now, wouldn't it be unique if we could revert to a system where everybody had accountability, and every time a judge issued an order, that he had to put his thumbprint and an identifying number down there, so that when you went to appeal his decision, you could actually prove it. In the Maryland Courts of Appeals, will I fight for your rights? Let's see, I had the godfather of the Jewish mafia, Maryland's crime kingpin, steal $20 million from me 9 years ago. No, 11 years, 12 years ago. I have 4,700 docket entries in 107 court cases. I have won every jury verdict. And as soon as I win the jury verdict, the judge runs back into his little chambers and nullifies the jury's verdict and gives them one against me. And then you go to the Court of Appeals and there's no record. Yes, I will fight for your rights. I will stand up to the corruption within the system. And I will demand that other members of the House and Senate do the same. Am I afraid? Of course. I've had my life threatened so many times I don't even count it anymore. If you go to my website, secretjustice.com, you'll find the first show up there, A Dead Man Walking. Because that's how committed I am. God bless.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Briefly, the question was on the environment, particularly on...
For the Fraternal Order of the Police, Prince George's County. Where I did a candidate interview. And I must say that I was very impressed with the officers who interviewed me, and I was impressed with the professionalism that they exhibited. I have to admit that I never thought that I would ever be able to interview as a candidate before this organization, but you know, you can be wrong and still things can still be better. While I was there, I made up this little book here today that explains my candidacy, a bio. And I got an acknowledgement here for Gilbert Saperstein. So, and this is my book of the history of what's happening, and
It says, with grateful acknowledgement to those people most responsible for my campaign to run for 4th Congressional seat in the United States Congress. Number 1, Gilbert Saperstein and the Saperstein Crime Syndicate, including Wayne A. Bowie, Gilbert Saperstein, Peter Parker, Esquire, disbarred, Howard Fine, Richard Fine, Donald Noble, Esquire, Jeffrey Fine, Esquire, and Andrew C. Moore. The judges of Prince George's County most responsible for supporting Saperstein and his crime syndicate: Judge Thomas Smith, Judge Alan Shepard, Judge Nichols, Judge Love, Judge Peter Massetti, U.S. District Bankruptcy Court, District Court, and Judge Paul Manis, United States Bankruptcy Court. And grateful appreciation for turning this average citizen into an advocate for justice, the rights of his fellow citizens. Their accomplishments have been chronicled in case files of 107 court proceedings in the Maryland and federal court system, all of these related to a $5 fraud committed on the Saperstein Crime Syndicate and crime syndicate members against the candidate, his partners, and his family. Without their help, my candidacy would not be valid. So my platform is restoration of equal justice under the law and equal rights under the law in our nation. So thank the officers of MLP 54, and God bless. Have a good day. With the U.S. Campaign finance report was filed with the Committee on Standards, Official Government Standards, at the U.S. House of Representatives. So now, because the judge won't release my property again, I've got to go down and modify my Form 2 and my Form B, campaign finance report with the FEC and with the House, showing that I will not be able to get access to the $500,000 in assets that I had hoped to use in my campaign, because that court right there committed fraud once again. So God bless and have a good day, and thank you for visiting secretjustice.com. And say a prayer for Susan Payne and her family as they go through the history of trying to gain justice in this gangster court. God bless. Have a good day. Hello, once again, George E. McDermott, Secret Justice News, Secret Justice Productions. I'm here today to correct a story that was put in the media by Channel 4, Channel 9, and Channel 5 of in Washington, D.C. I need to correct the record as to what happened in the when politics becomes punches, and involving a altercation between the Donna Edwards for Congress campaign and the Alfred Wynn Congress for Congress campaign. I did interviews with all three of these TV stations and set the record straight. However, in each and every case, they edited out the most important parts, and it needs to be set straight. This tape will be furnished to the along with a written affidavit of mine outlining what happened and what I witnessed as the altercation between the Alfred Wynn campaign staff and the Donna Edwards campaign staff. As has been reported by these stations, I was present at the altercation. I was coming out from the main building, going back to my vehicle, when I happened to look up and see one of Alfred Wynn's campaign staff turn around and viciously attack another man. At that time, I didn't know who he was. From the back, viciously attacked him around and slammed him on his head, and then they forced him to the ground, and two members of the Alfred Wynn campaign, one jumped on his stomach and started punching him, and the other man went up to him and viciously kicked him in the head and was punching him in the face until myself and other bystanders came by and broke up the fight and separated these parties. At the time of the altercation, I had no idea what the altercation was about. All I knew that there was a fight and it had to be broken up. The fact is this could have escalated very quickly into a major altercation. As we broke the parties up, 5 or 6 other people joined in and tried to keep the fight going, but I managed to keep the campaign worker who was being assaulted aside. I separated him and took him over to the police, as the video will do it. And then also you'll find out that I did report what had happened to the campus police when they finally got there, and that this was also withheld from the statement. I have not been contacted. I gave the campus police my name and address, my contact number, that I was an eyewitness and I would attest to what happened. And I've not been contacted by the state's attorney's office. I've not been contacted by the campus police. I've not been contacted by anybody. And each of the media that I have furnished the statement, as you're hearing it right now, to them, has chosen to edit this out so that the truth never comes forward. But the man was brutally assaulted, and I will, like I said, my affidavit's going in on Monday. So this is something that the media is not doing. We're allowing our campaigns to be run by campaign signs, and this is not the way a political campaign should be run. God bless. Have a good day. Candidate. Hello, ladies and gentlemen of Montgomery County. My name is George McDermott. I am an active candidate in the September primary for the United States Congress, the 4th Congressional District, to oppose the incumbent Alfred Wynn. I want to give my thanks to Montgomery County Cable Access for allowing the candidates to come forth and let their platforms be known to the citizens. This is a great service that they are doing for our citizens. My platform is, I'm running on a platform of equal justice under the law and equal protection under the law. And you can find my background, my history, and my credentials on the World Wide Web at secretjustice.com and at fraudvictim.org, as well as chatwithglendora.org. It's very important for all the citizens of Montgomery County not to be polarized by what you're seeing in the media, the hype that some of the candidates is putting out there to entice you to vote for them. We need all the citizens to go out and to register, to vote, to get the message out. And this is a midterm election, which means that we will have a greatly reduced amount of people showing up who are going to have interest. The people who you will elect in this term are the people who will manage this country into the next, this country and the county, into the next century. We have
a duty and an obligation to, as citizens, to research each candidate and not to just select candidates based on who has the most yard signs, who has the most advertising. You want candidates that have real meaning and have a platform that will benefit you and your family in the future. Right now, we are in a crisis. The candidates you select for the House and for the Senate have a daunting job ahead of them to try to straighten out the mess that's happened in the last 5-6 years. We now have a deficit in the neighborhood of $9 trillion a year and counting. Our Social Security fund has been depleted. We are at war. We are supporting wars around the country, and our families are in peril. We are shipping our jobs out of this nation overseas. So I'm asking each citizen to go out and to research the candidate that they wish to have in and to represent their people's interest in the state of Maryland. Like I said, my name is George McDermott. I am an active candidate for the United States Congress, 4th Congressional District. I am a businessman, a father, and I see trouble in our future unless we, the people of these United States, take back the country from those who have taken it over. We have to do away with the special interest groups. And so God bless. And, I thank you very much for the opportunity to bring my platform to you. Once again, my website is at secretjustice.com. And God bless to all.
Couldn't believe the dirt and the filth that was in them. And I freed up these bookcases. The big wall boards were covering them. You couldn't put anything in or take it out. These are some of the things I remember doing it. As I say, I've swept it 10 times. There was even dirt put on oil on this floor. Unbelievable filth. And that ladder goes up into the attic. And then finally I had a pail of water and I put some there and I put some there and I put some there and I put some there, and I swept it for the last time. And I believe that helped. This was all a mess in here. How long did this take? I think it was 6 hours up until today, 2 hours. I would say 8 hours. This is the last mess I have to clean up. And it looks to me like most of that is dump. Do you see that blue sky? And we've had it all morning. There were 2 nasty planes. They made a cross, but they weren't able to overcome the azure blue. We've got azure blue all the way around. What day is it? October the 16th, Monday. What time is it? 1 p.m. I would rather have electric. What a nice place to meditate. What a nice place to do the work. What a nice place to be one with God. Facing the south. See that? No aerosol. We're looking south. We're looking east now, folks. That's south. And here's the sunflowers. I still love them. That was the first one to bloom. Here, honey. You shouldn't fall over, you should stand up. How many were there? 28? Here's a Jewish joke from Long Island. Jesus saves, Moses invests. A sunrise, the first one, seen by these eyes in months. October 17, 2006 at 7:05 a.m. Why does God give us such beautiful things? Look at this, folks, for largesse. Look at this for affluence. Look for this for abundance, overflowing abundance, opulence. Can you tell me why God is so good to us? Get with it, folks. We got to be one with God every minute. Every minute, think purely. Praise God and thank God. Beside us to guide us, our leader triumphant. Here's a great shake, folks. Pineapple juice, bananas, uncooked oatmeal, and cashews. Superlative.
Okie doke.
Yeah, no problem with yours. It was always in good shape.
Oh, that's good. Thank the Lord. This man had a talking dog. You gotta go now pretty soon. This man had a talking dog, and he took him down to a talent agent on Broadway to get some bookings. And he said to the talent agent, he says, listen, this dog talks. He says, Rover, Rover, what do you call something you put over a roof to keep the water from coming in? And Rover said, roof, roof. And then the talent agent says, oh, I don't believe this. And he says, no, he talks. Listen to this. Rover, what's in the ground under a tree that keeps it from falling over? The dog says, root, root. And so by now the talent agent has pushed him toward the door. And the man says, no, you've got to hear him. Rover, who was the greatest baseball player of all time? Roof, roof. And the talent agent put him out the door, and he shut the door, and he locked the door, and as the man and the dog are going down the hall, the dog looks up at the man and says, or was it DiMaggio?